this is Dennis Dykin from the Smithereens, and you're listening to Rock On Radio. So please turn it up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Rock On Radio. I am your host, Danny Coleman. Once again, producer Claire has left me unsupervised. And what did I do? I went down to Asbury Park, New Jersey during the Light of Day festivities. Caught up once again, as I do every year, with my friend Taylor Davis. What you're going to hear tonight is the time I spent with Taylor from Lily and Lou's Cafe inside the Berkeley Carteret Hotel. Rock On Radio is brought to you by O'Connor's American Bar and Grill of East Hampton, Mount Holly, New Jersey, located on 537, otherwise known as Monmouth Road. They are the official caterers of Rock On Radio and beyond. Phoenix Art Supplies and Framing, located on Route 611, otherwise known as Southeastern Road in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. They've been providing quality framing and art supplies for more than 40 years. Lillipie's of Princeton, located inside the Princeton Shopping Center at 301 North Harrison Street in Princeton. Lillipie's fine array of baked goods, breads, breakfast sandwiches, and more, guaranteed to satisfy any appetite. Sinister Footwear. If you go to sinisterfw.com, check out the incredible socks that our friend Tina sells, and use the promo code DCRSOCKS. You will get 10% off at checkout. That's Sinister Footwear and sinisterfw.com. New Jersey Stage Magazine. Go to newjerseystage.com for all your art and entertainment needs in the Garden State and beyond. Asbury Park Vibes. Go to asburyparkvibes.com. Check out their fantastic lineup of artists and photographers. Doug and Diane have a great podcast. If you're a band, solo artist, performer, entrepreneur, you need headshots, bios, press releases, go to asburyparkvibes.com. The Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation, jsjbf.org. They are fantastic partners with so many people throughout the New Jersey area, providing scholarships for children and music programs, as well as heading up the Long Branch Jazz and Blues Festival every year, the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation. Dee Dee's Lights. Dee Dee is the official candle maker, a.k.a. Chandler, of Rock On Radio. Find her on Instagram at Dee Dee's Lights and see the quality candles that she can make. Boy, they are really nice. And knowing Dee Dee as I do, they are as close to perfection in the candle realm that you or anyone who purchases one is going to come. Deco Entertainment. We are broadcasting from the 2 Tracks studio of Deco Entertainment. Go to decoentertainment.com and you will be able to see their lineup of incredible artists. And Rock On Radio is proud to be partnered with them as well. If you want to find out more about myself or Claire, go to DCROR.com, which is the quick link for Danny Coleman's RockOnRadio.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Danny Coleman's Rock On Radio 2, that's the number 2, and on Instagram at Rock On Radio. And last, and certainly not least, I now have my own line of beer. Yes, beer. Tyndall Road Brewing, located at 102 Farnsworth Avenue in Bordentown, New Jersey. I've partnered with them to create a series. Now, we know I have my blues show, Danny Coleman's Got the Blues. Well, this is called Danny Coleman's Got the Brews beer series. This month, through the end of February, Danny Coleman's Stay Puffed Chocolate Marshmallow Stout is on tap at their tap room located at 102 Farnsworth Avenue, as well as O'Connor's American Bar and Grill in Mount Holly, and soon to be on tap at the Nottingham Tavern located at 9 Mercer Street in Hamilton Square, New Jersey. Many thanks to Marcy and her crew at Tyndall Road Brewing for hooking this partnership up. In March, there's supposed to be a dry Irish stout, and in May, for Cinco de Mayo, a Mexican Thai chili chocolate stout. I look forward to working with Tyndall Road Brewing. And now, here is my interview, recorded live on location, with Taylor Davis. All right, I have returned once again to Lily and Lou's Cafe inside the Berkeley Carteret Hotel in Asbury Park to interview my good buddy all the way up from Miami, Florida, here in Asbury for the Light of Day festivities, Mr. Taylor Davis. Hello, my friend. How are you again?
It's good to sit down with you. It's been about a year, and it's always awesome to sit down with you. Thanks for driving always to Asbury Park to see me. So
yeah, there's two shows I can guarantee, and it's funny because right before I got out of my pickup truck, the woman that runs this event every September called Rock to Adopt, Crazy Donna, she just messaged me saying, hey, I got dates for Rock to Adopt. Can I book a radio show date?
Yeah.
And that's 9 months from now.
Okay.
You know? So there's that date every year, and you every year. So
yeah, it's nice to be a part of your annual sit down. So thanks for having me.
Well, I'm glad to be back. Last year we had, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but the woman that runs Lily and Lou's Cafe.
Yeah.
She sat down with us for a while
this weekend, so yeah.
Nice. So what's happening this weekend? You've been very busy.
Very busy, yeah. Wednesday night I was with Andrew Agosta at the Asbury Park Brewery, the new facility. Had an awesome night. That's my first time being there, and it was amazing.
Nice.
Connie, shout out to Connie Freestone and Martin that came out and took photos, and they're so essential to Asbury Park. And it's a busy, busy week, so the fact that they'd spend any of their busy time at one of my shows is humbling always. So we had a good turnout, and Andrew Agosta, who opened for me, is just, really a name people should know around here. He's got so many great songs, played great live. So that was a great kickoff to my first day along the shore. And then Thursday night was definitely one of the best nights I've ever had in Asbury. My best curated night ever. I've been doing a Taylor Davis and Friends show since 2019 was the first time that we did it. This is the fourth time I've done it, and we started at Odyssey Coffee in Ocean Grove with just a couple people, and Bobby Mahoney came out for me, and Dylan Schindler came out for me.
Oh,
and, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Wait, don't go away, man. What's your name?
Mike.
Mike?
Yes.
I'm Danny.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Mike.
Taylor,
so much.
thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
it a lot, man. Thank you. You
Or
too.
the staff at Lily and Lou's, they deliver
Taking good
water.
care
That's
of us.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that.
So
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
But Dylan Schindler, Bobby Mahoney, Matt Cook, Dawn Hopkins, like some people came out for me at my early Taylor Davis and Friends show, and I did it this year at Wild Air Beer Works Thursday night, right on Main Street, and Levy Oken and his band came out for me, and Cranston Dean, who I love so much, and Leah Thompson, who's a new friend, amazing performer. We met through Janet at Cafe Artiste.
Oh, no kidding.
And
Okay.
she's phenomenal, and we had a great turnout, and it was just overwhelming, honestly. That night has been on my mind, ever since, including the craziness of last night. I was with Bobby Mahoney again at the Wonder Bar. We ran over the Pony, and then, of course, what's become legendary already, the Bobby Mahoney Midnight Mass after party here at the Berkeley Hotel, and everybody stopped by there. William Zahner was here, Jake Thistle was here, Evan Rotella was here, and so many other people, and it was just Zach Sandler played the saxophone until early in the morning and stuff. It's just a magical night. So it was, I'm running on fumes, but so I'm still, that's what the weekend does to you.
Yeah, it's kind of, it puts a smile on my face a little bit, because I remember 5-6 years ago when we did this for the first time, how you sat down with me at our studio up in Heightstown, and there was no way on this green earth of God's that you would have been able to rattle off those kind of names with that kind of authority.
Yeah.
Because you were somewhat of a newbie
Ingrained
to
into the shore, yeah.
to the Light of Day thing and the scene, and now you're talking about them like they're over your house for dinner every night. It's a beautiful thing.
It is a
I
beautiful
think
thing.
it's a beautiful thing.
And it still doesn't, in your mind, it doesn't feel like that long ago. I remember driving to your studio to do that with, I had Dylan Schindler with me.
Yes, Dylan, yes.
And he's one of my favorite people, just a great singer-songwriter. And we were just sort of, getting things started. And I remember playing in your studio and all that stuff. And then before you know it, it's 6 years. The pandemic, made things feel like time went a lot quicker in some respects. But yeah, it's really been crazy. I really owe it all to two things. One is just continuing to pop up and do my best to work hard and consistency. But the main factor around here with all of that you're referring to is Bobby Mahoney, 100%. Right. He deserves all the light and the credit for that, because being able to meet people that he's introduced me to is just, still overwhelming. I left last night feeling like I did in 2019 when I left some after party, overwhelmed by all of it, and but everybody's, the more you get to know folks, you just see how nice, everybody is, and they're here, for just a terrific cause, and putting their talents through a lot, to put out for the cause. So it's an amazing thing. It's really one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen in all my music journey. So.
How did you get involved with the Light of Day festivities?
So,
because you're from Indiana originally, right?
From Indiana, yeah.
So.
Yeah. 2019, about a month, this is crazy, but about a month before Light of Day, Jared Clemens and I had already been, friends to some extent. I had been up to mid-Florida, the middle of Florida, in Zephyr Hills to record at the studio that he had there at the time. And we'd always, around, those first little bit of time that we knew each other, talked about going on the road and, New Jersey this, New Jersey that. And have you played in New Jersey? Well, I haven't done this, haven't done that. So we talked about it, like the idea was brewing. And then about a month beforehand, he's like, I want to go up for the Big Man Bash that his brother was putting on at the time at Bar A. And the headliner.
That was just last week, actually. Yeah.
And he said, can we book some shows around it? And I was already sort of, had gotten my feet wet in booking my own shows. So somehow a month in advance, which now just seems like impossible, we put a bunch of things together anywhere that would have us, and did it before and after, with the Big Man Bash being in the middle of it. And I would say, honestly, from that first trip, some of the most important relationships that I've developed have been from that trip. We booked a show. This is really the core of it all, is that we booked a show at the Sunshine Cafe in Keyport, which was owned by Felicia McIntosh, whose son was James McIntosh, that played drums in Bobby Mahoney's band. So when we did that show, Bobby and James came out, supported the show, and from the first day that we met that day, I jumped up with Bobby and James and sang and played harmonica on Pink Cadillac. So it's like there was no gestation period of like meeting and getting more. It was like the first day. And I just refer back to Bobby. He sort of motivated us and encouraged us, inspired us, and then we met other people that did the same thing. And it sort of just stemmed from those first few shows. We played at a Booktown in Matawan at a bookstore. We played at the Dragonfly Cafe in Somerville on that tour.
Yeah. Peter
Process, like one of the best guys that I've ever met in New Jersey. We hopped around. We did living room shows. And then we somehow, through Vinny Lopez and the Wonderful Winos, ended up on a show at.
You got Vinny involved? I didn't know that. How about that?
Yeah, he was involved really early on. That blows my mind still, but. We ended up being on a show at the Transparent Gallery with Sunshine Spaz, and I think it was just me and Jared on Light of Day weekend, and so it all happened really fast, and then sort of, once you were in it, just, develop and keep doing the thing that you were doing before, which was just write songs, play, and when I'm in Florida, play as much as I can, so.
That's so.
I hope that answered the question. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, it did, because off of that answer, there's so many directions I can go with the next progression here. First off, Vinny, I've done gigs with. I did a gig with I did some percussion stuff for a band Vinny had a few years back. But I've also done gigs just myself and a gentleman named Gary Cavico, who is Vinny's guitar player in the Wonderful Linos. And Gary and I have worked together on a couple of occasions on various things. So there's that connection. And then meeting Bobby Mahoney for you. Now, I haven't seen Bobby. It's been almost 2 years since he's been on this program. So light a fire under him, will you? Tell him he's ready to come back.
He's the nicest guy around, so he would do it for you anytime, for sure.
It took me years to get him to come on the show, and now he's avoiding me again.
Oh, I don't think so.
I'm just kidding. I love Bobby. But so it sounds like you and Bobby from the start, hit it off, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so.
But your connection to Asbury Park, which again, we are at Lily and Lou's Cafe inside the Berkeley Carteret Hotel in Asbury Park. Your connection to this area inadvertently began in your childhood.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, is it your dad?
Yeah.
Took you to see Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah, and my mom as well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they had... When my mom met my dad was, already deep down the road. He had, went against his father's wishes at 18. His dad said, "You're not going anywhere." And my dad left anyway, passed my grandfather on the highway pre-cell phone days. They saw each other. My dad kept on to Cincinnati for the River Tour. He was like 17 years old. And Riverfront Coliseum. And him doing that act of defiance, little did he know, would change his son's life forever. The son that wasn't,
wasn't even on the radar yet. Yeah.
And so it started with that, and then, when I was, my mom was pregnant with me, my dad took her to see Bruce with the other band, early 90s, so it was there before I was there, for sure. And then I remember my first show was in Cincinnati, Ohio, and on the reunion tour, I was like 7 or 8 years old. And nothing was more terrifying and exciting to be 7 or 8 years old. And you're in a stadium full of people, which is already sort of without the idea of music there, it's an obscure setup. Yeah. And all of a sudden, everybody's talking, lights on, mingling, lights go down, completely. In those days, now, a spotlight, when the band goes out, a spotlight will come up. But in those days, it was complete darkness, and then the band would come out of the tunnel. And the roar, I always said to Jared Clemens when I met Jared, I said, it was a big bruise for Bruce, but the roar was loudest for Clarence, always. And then there's nothing, and then all of a sudden a 4 count and everything comes to life. I was never a superhero guy, or a Disneyland guy, but to me that was the most mystical thing to that degree. That was, and then I learned about Asbury Park, and it became, that was the, you learned about the Upstage and Cookman and Kingsley and the circuit, and you learned about where the band got started and all that stuff, and the Student Prince and the story of the door blowing off, the night Clarence came in, the nor'easter. And so all that stuff just, seemed, even as I grew up, is one of the only things that stayed sort of dreamlike, and I had to make it seems like a pilgrimage, a Mecca, to the house Bruce were born to run in, and Darkness on the Edge of Town, and the river, and you had to go to Freehold, and you had to go to Asbury Park. And really my first understanding of what the music was like here in modern day was I listened to Bobby Mahoney's record, Friends in Low Places, which was one of the early records, and I was just like, to me, that's all I knew of what the new music of the Shore sounded like. And so we started talking that way over social media years before we met, and then when they came out, getting to see it in action, getting to see that band in action really just lets you know, like, things are as alive now, musically here as they were in the stories that I read about growing up. So yeah, it started a long, long time ago, and the love of it and insane delusion about my own journey at times, which you need to have, led me here now I've been coming since 2017, but musically I've been coming. The first time I came, Danny Clinch said, "You want to play?" The first time I went into the gallery, so. And that
Which
was
is where you
beginning.
just were,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Before
just
here?
came from the Great Songwriters event, Levy Oken, Jared Clemens, Matty Carlock, and Pam Flores. I remember it, everybody.
Oh,
And,
Pammy Flores?
Yes.
Oh, no kidding.
She was amazing. And,
She is incredible.
Everybody was great. And it was put on by Johnny Grishecki and Bobby as sort of the up and rising people in Asbury, and it was amazing. It was a good way. I was on barely any sleep, but it was an amazing way to start the day before I came here. So.
Now, several years back when this program was still at the church in Heightstown where we first met, I brought a gentleman in studio. Well, Claire set it up, actually.
Shout out to Claire.
And that's why she's the best producer around. I don't care. I'll put that up against anybody. I have no
You're
issue.
a fortunate guy to have her.
I am, and don't think I don't count my blessings every week.
I know that.
And because, matter of fact, even we were at an event last night down in Tuckerton, and at the end of the night, the house photographer, was trying to get the band together to take a picture, which could be like herding cats after a gig. But they were all in the very small venue, the Lizzie Rose Music Room, very small. It's like the size of this room right here. And so we got them all together, and with her background and skills, like the photographer's like, well, I'm not sure I'm going to be. So he's trying to direct them, and she's like, all right, let's go, listen up. And boom, she puts everybody where they're supposed to be, lined up, and because she's got a photography and an art background, and next thing you know, boom, pictures are done, and they're like, wow, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
And I just looked at the guy, Darren, and I'm like, that's why she's the best damn producer.
Yeah, hurting musicians, not something that I would ever want anybody
to
have
do,
to
right?
do. Yeah.
So she set up an interview with a gentleman by the name of Fulvio Cesare. Fulvio was partners with another gentleman, and they were in the process of doing interviews for a movie which has since been sort of released, called The Jersey Sound.
Yes.
And
I'm aware of this.
I think Bobby has a small couple lines in it where essentially Fulvio went around and did a lot of interviews with famous artists from Jersey, like Southside and things like that. Tommy James, who's been living in New Jersey for decades. And he went around and did all these interviews. Excuse me. And then there was a kind of like a pause to the whole thing because apparently there was somewhat of a falling out between partners. Okay. So the one partner took the film, ran with it, and had it edited. But the whole premise of the entire film was, is there a Jersey sound? Now, not that you can be considered an outsider anymore, but you don't live here.
Sure, yeah.
Now, based on everything you just told me, and based on something you just said about, that New Jersey type of sound,
Yeah.
as an outsider looking in, do you think there is a Jersey sound?
Sure, yeah. I think that, Riot, Redemption, and Rock and Roll, that's another documentary
Yes.
that can tell you a lot about
That was my man Joe Patillo put that together.
Yeah. And I think that the crossing of the tracks is what defined that sound, and musicians from different places, different backgrounds, different walks of life, coming across the tracks to play together, was really the start of it. I mean, there's plenty of examples I could point in my head of where that sound comes from. I mean, something like Stormin' Norman Selden, bringing Clarence Clemens into the band, you know, when that, at least culturally around the area, wasn't a
Was
popular
not the thing to do. Yeah.
And, what, I don't have to go on and on about what I think of Clarence, and so that's an example of it. Also, David Sanchez is a big part of that, I think, in a big way. And sort of he brought this jazz thing, and it seems like there was a lot of guys like that brought maybe a jazz, funk, R&B thing to these sort of Southside Johnny, Little Steven sort of characters, and the mix of those sounds. Someone explained it to me and says the rock and roll sound of these white frontmen at the time mixed with a combination of great horns and bass players that were African American, that sort of blended in a way that had never been heard before anywhere around. So to me, that's what it really is. If someone asked me what the Jersey sound is, I wouldn't immediately think to play them Bruce. I would think to play Southside right away. And arguably everybody knows Bruce, whether they're into the New Jersey sound or not. And but Southside is the thing that comes to my mind. The way that Little Steven put together that first record, and the way that those songs come to my mind when I think about the Asbury sound. I Don't Want to Go Home. It's that mixing and blending, I think, and music has been mixed and blended before, but the way that those guys fronted the band was another thing that made the whole thing unique to me. They fronted the band like white guys' versions of James Brown. All of them, whether, it doesn't really matter who you talk to from that era or generation, they always say that everything that they got was from him as far as the live performance.
Now, there are those who say that, what you're saying, and then there are those who, I guess one of the premier, you spoke about Springsteen's The River album.
Yeah.
All right, two songs I can think of off of that, Jackson Cage and Cadillac Ranch. You hear that organ.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people identify the Jersey sound with that organ sound.
Yeah, the B3.
It's kind of a cross between a B3 and a Farfisa. Now the Rascals made the Farfisa, so
yeah.
There's a general consensus among everybody. Of course, they interviewed for the film that the Jersey sound is what we just talked about.
Yeah.
But then there's another opinion on all that as well. So I guess using that as a base, okay, how does that affect Taylor Davis's music? Because I know Bruce, his sound was a big influence on you.
Sure.
And I know that at times your voice is eerily reminiscent of some of the Springsteen stuff over the years.
That's a great compliment.
And because you get that nice little combination of gravelly and melodic, and it's great.
Oh,
so
thank you.
how much has that sound, or your thoughts as if that is the sound, how does that influence what Taylor Davis does?
It's funny how the songwriting thing works, because it's like I specifically haven't, you leave here thinking, I just saw Matty Carlock play a couple songs about, one song about Brooklyn and one song about New Jersey, and he mentions Kingsley and Kim Marie's and stuff. So you see something like that, it has an impact on you. You think, I'm going to go home and write a song about New Jersey. That's not how it works, though, But it's a good idea. It's a good, and you think at some point those things they flesh themselves out naturally. They come out of you, because if they're coming into you, they have to come out of you. So there's a song on my new record called Coming Home, and I said, the beginning of it goes, we walk these roads together across the barren pines, And I don't know why it set there, but that's probably the only New Jersey, out of all of this coming here and stuff like that, that's the only New Jersey sort of reference that has come out. A conversation I had with a lady who's well connected to the Sandy Mack group, She said to me years ago, we were sitting out on the porch having a conversation, and she was talking about, she lived in Montana, and she said something about cowboy killers, Marlboro Reds being cowboy killers, and how it's still cowboy city out there. So she went inside, and I wrote that down thinking, oh, I'm going to use that at some point. That's really good. And didn't manifest itself until my new single, If It Kills Me. The first line, they say cowboy tokes and cowboy smokes could kill a cowboy quick. That came from a conversation I had with her 6 years ago, and it just finally found its place. So I think that it is in me, of course, because, you know, Bruce set me on fire, but Dylan really made me, for some reason, think, oh, I could do that. I could do that. Something about that, even though that's insane to say, something about that at the time I was delusional enough to be like, oh, you know, I saw him playing 64 at the Newport Folk Festival, dude, Mr. Tambourine Man on YouTube or something like that. I bought a Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits at the Goodwill that I found, and then just went down, you know, still going down that rabbit hole years later. And so, yeah, it's baked in me for sure, and I think that the gravelly stuff came from singing those songs for years, you know, those Bruce songs, and the melodic stuff, it took longer to come. You know, that sort of came from going other places, deeper in Bruce's catalog, and also, you know, Jackson Browne. And I think, you know, any songwriter you sit with around here, the up-and-coming ones would tell you that Jackson Browne has an impact as well. But, yeah, I definitely think that as the years go on, it'll come in more in the lyrics, you know, but, yeah, it's just been quintessential to everything, you know. I wouldn't be here the first time that I came if not for wanting to see the places that Bruce played, you know, before I came here on a music endeavor. You know, it was like, had to go to the Saint, had to go to the Wonder Bar, had to go to the Pony, you know, never imagined, you know, that you could play in those places at that time, you know.
To the Fast Lane.
Yeah.
Porta, you know.
Yeah.
What's funny about that, in an odd way, as we sit here at Lily and Lou's Cafe inside the Berkeley Carteret, which 20 years ago, this still wasn't really reborn to the way it is now. But if we go back out to the lobby entrance, which is only 40 yards that way, and we look out that front door, you can see all these places that you've made reference to, or that Bruce, or, I'm sorry, who was the gentleman you just mentioned? Brooklyn and New Jersey.
Oh, Matty Carlisle.
Matty Carlisle, thank you. You can see, or Carlock, yeah, you can see Kingsley, you can see the Pony, you can see the Asbury Hotel, which used to be the Salvation Army years ago.
Yeah, I was here right after they started Clinch's, the Transparent Gallery.
The gallery,
Tina saw my plate and we had known each other a little bit from social media. She saw the plate and thought of me and was like, I thought that might be you. And I met Tina for the first time. And so I was here right when that sort of got started. And when I came the first time in 2016 just to visit, it was a way different town. It was a way different town. And I think there's a lot of reasons that it's been brought back in such a big way, but Danny Clinch is really a big reason for that. You know, I think he's arguably at the center of it, you know, but it's still, to me, it's never lost. It's even now that I know the real side of it very, very well, it's never lost that sort of Disneyland thing for me. You know, when I was playing at the Asbury Park Brewery the other night, I was thinking, the thought I was thinking the whole time really was that the upstage is right there.
Yeah, right across the street.
That thought doesn't, those things, history means a lot. History means a lot to me, you know, it really does. And I'm never over it. This is like my fifth light of day. And it still doesn't, you know, it doesn't lose its glow, you know. And when you see someone like Vinny Lopez, you know, he's always the one that comes to my mind. You're just like, that's the guy that played on The Wild and Innocent. That's the guy that played on Greetings from Asbury Park. You know, those things, they never leave you. And I think that it's important to remember those things, you know, because the real world of anything can mess you up, you know. So it's nice to always hold on to that and then be like, hey, I'm playing my songs here 50, 60 years later. That, to me, is enough, you know. Years
back when the Light of Day weekends first started, I was asked to be the house drummer for an open mic the night before at the Wonder Bar. And I didn't know Vinny that well yet. like I do now. But the band comes up, and the guy says, all right, we're going to do Rosalita. And
Could there be a tougher song behind the drums?
All I remember thinking to myself was, please, dear Lord, don't let Vinny Lopez walk in here now.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to say, like, in the middle of the song, here, take these.
Yeah. Max just mentioned, I think, on Howard Stern, when the band sat down, he said that that's the song out of any of them that is the most, keeps him on his toes.
Really?
Yeah, just said that. So, yeah, I remember he walked in, and we barely knew him at all on the first tour. We had spoke a little bit on Facebook, and he invited me and Jared to see him and the Winos play at Woody's in Farmingdale.
Oh, okay.
And so we went there, and that's where we met Gary Cavaco, the rest of the band, and everybody was just really, really generous to us right from the start. And then we played the Brighton Bar with me, Jared, Jake Thistle, and a good friend from Miami, Chris Mullins, played the Brighton Bar. And I was in the middle of doing a cover of Nebraska, and I looked to my left while I was playing the harmonica, and he walked in with his lovely lady, Dawn. And I was just like, this is unreal. It's still unreal. I've never got over it, and it's been 6-7 years, so.
The funny part of that is about Vinny. Dawn was, excuse me, when you were at the church in Heightstown.
Yeah.
That's when Art was still alive, and we were doing the City of Angels radio. And Dawn used to be, and Vinny, were both involved with the City of Angels. So, they met or whatever, and they became an item. Well, now, from what I understand, as far as I know, she still lives there, but her and Vinny live in a house that's literally about 4 blocks from where I grew up.
Oh, wow. New Jersey and the world is
right?
small.
So what goes around comes around, and down in Hamilton Township outside of Trenton.
Okay.
So, we've got a bunch of music here that you've sent me, and is there anyone in particular you want to start with?
Yeah. The latest single is called "If It Kills Me," and I put it out. There's a music video that's attached to it that I actually did with my band. We did it at a place in Pompano Beach, Florida called Mickey's Tiki Bar. It's one of the
you got
last...
Tiki Bar, I'm in.
You're in. It's one of the last remaining dives, really, that is still going. We love dives, and as the band grows, you play nicer and nicer places, but we still like a place that, smells like cigarettes and people drink whiskey in, and there's no, neon sign on the wall. We old cigarette machines and old pinball. We like that stuff. Affordable drinks.
It's like my backyard.
So we ended up doing it there to support, local business, and, hopefully people, that check out the music video, if they're down there, they go and have a drink at Mickey's. That's really what it was all about. But the song sort of had that thing from the creation process, as we were thinking of J.J. Cale, my producer. Shout out to my producer, Lucas Irasoki, out of Toledo, Ohio, and in Eloquent Records, who I made my new album with. We were thinking about J.J. Cale, and we were thinking about, dirty songs, and the song was about me. I've been sober almost 4 years, and I was thinking about, I wasn't trying to write a song about that, but I was like, it sort of came out about the idea of that we do things that kill us sometimes, and we know it, and we do them anyway. If we let that person speak all the time, what would he or she speak like? And so that's where the song sort of came from, and it just sort of became this blues dirty thing. So the music video matched that, and shout out to Bo Cornelius, my good brother that played piano on it, and Lucas also played the kick-ass guitar solo in it, and it's something I'm really, really proud of. So,
right,
If It Kills Me.
If you're just tuning in, I'm here with Taylor Davis at Lily and Lou's Cafe inside the Berkeley Carteret Hotel in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And here is his tune, If It Kills Me.
Cowboy dogs and cowboy smokes can kill a cowboy quick.
If It Kills Me from Taylor Davis. And so you've got another album that's in the works.
Yeah, I'm just mixing and mastering it now, so it's ready.
What are we looking at for a release date?
I want to put it out in April. I turn 32 in April, and I've been sitting on it and releasing singles, because you feel like I'm an album guy, and I have an album, but you feel like some songs when you release 10 of them at once, especially in the way that the modern music program is seeming to work, if anybody knows how it works. Maybe album track 7 doesn't get the love that the single gets or something like that. So just trying to figure out, and like a buddy said to me last night, nobody knows, but trying to figure out the way to make sure that the songs get if they're your babies, then, you want to make sure that they get a proper birthing, So that's really where I'm at with it. But I have the album's all complete. We're just mixing and mastering right now, so.
Are you willing to reveal the title?
Yeah, it's called Don't Be Scared to Go Outside. I think sort of it stemmed from the idea that seems post-COVID that there's more, all together this sort of sheltered thing that's happening of everybody's working at home, and more of the jobs that are paying really, really well are coming from the computer, and the blinds are closed, and the door is locked. There's a great joke of Sebastian Maniscalco. He said 30 years ago, somebody knocked on the door, the kids slid to the door in their socks. You had, an Entenmann's for the guests. It was only for the guests. Company, yeah. And he says, and now the doorbell rings and they're like, get the sword, And that's, so, but it's not me, a preacher or anything like that. I mean, as a musician, you're cool on stage in front of, 500 people or something like that. But when you're at home by yourself, you're like, I don't want to go outside. Why would you want to go outside, There's danger outside. There's, stuff is not always good outside, So, but you have to get outside to really make it all happen. That's where life awaits. Really is outside. So that's where it all stemmed from. It's 10 songs. Other Side of the Bridge, people have heard, is the first single. If It Kills Me, that you just played, is the second single, and I'm putting out the third single next month. It's called Strangers Again. So.
Okay. Now you just said something that I find kind of interesting. So I'm going to ask you about it. Is there a difference? Now, I know the answer, but the people listening don't know the answer. But is there a difference between the Taylor Davis they see on stage and the Taylor Davis that is home afraid to go outside?
Sure, yeah. I think that I believe that if you're on stage and you're doing really, really well and it goes really, really well, people are seeing the best version of yourself, and the best version of who you want to be. But the offstage thing, it's like a great example is you come back from a tour like the one I'm on right now, and it's like nobody cares, to a certain extent about you headlined on the road, and this happened here and this happened there, and there was pictures taken here and all this. When you get back, your wife needs you to take the dog out and go get groceries, and
you slip right back into life.
Yeah, and the trash has to be taken out and all this stuff. So yeah, there's very, very different. The guy that doesn't want to go outside, stays in his underwear on some days, So very different than what they see live. But also at the same time, the songs are the most you that anyone's going to see. I think that Pam Flores says today that everybody that came to the gallery was just coming to see a therapy session. She's absolutely right, 100%. It's that people that come out last night, they packed out the Wonder Bar for Bobby and Dramarama and the Weaklings and Sonia, and if they're seeing Bobby do another Deadbeat Summer, Roaring Twenties, or Moth to the Flame, those are things he believes in more than anything, and he's presenting those to you. We saw Gershecki's band, Willie. They're all doing the same thing. We're all doing the same thing. We're just presenting these things that are the best versions of ourselves and the best that we have to offer and the things we believe in the most. But it is sort of a different thing,
Somebody said to me one time, he said, you're a musician, Danny? And I said, yeah, why? He says, so you're a narcissist. I said, yeah, I won't tell you what I said to him. I'm like, what the heck made you say that?
Sure.
He said, because all musicians are narcissists. I said, how so? Do you not go up on stage and pretty much say, listen to me, focus on me, look at me, it's about me? And I said, no, I'm the drummer, I'm in the back.
Yeah.
But, and we got a good laugh out of it. But to an extent, he's right. I always marvel at the amount of people who appear on this radio program and say to me, oh, yeah, I never got in this for money. I didn't get in this to be famous. And to them I say, oh, really? Okay. Yeah, BS. That's bull. Because first you get into it because you're inspired to get into it. Either by somebody you saw, or in your case it was a concert. And you're like, wow, this is cool. And then you get inspired to play your instrument. And at that point, it's not about being famous or for money. But the first time you go on stage, or the first time you're at a family function and you're playing your guitar or your harmonica, or you're in a band and you're part of the keyboard player or the drums or whatever it might be, and you get applause, high school talent show. All right, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it. And I don't see anything wrong with that. You create art to share with people. And art is very subjective. Everybody, there are songs I've heard that when I found out what the true meanings were, I'm like, wow, I was way off.
Sure, yeah.
But I got something out of that, that art. Even if I was wrong, but to me, that's what it meant. And as an artist or a creative, when you put your stuff out there, it doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the masses for them to decide what it is or what their interpretation of it is. And to some people, they're going to love it. To others, they're going to hate it. Some it'll inspire. Some it'll make cry. So everything is different. And when you're on stage giving it your all because you want people to like you and have a good time. You don't want them to walk away saying, boy, that stunk.
Yeah, of course not, no.
So when you do that, it's amazing. And then when you come off stage, like when I walked in here, you were out front talking to two people who had decidedly foreign.
Yeah.
They weren't United States accents.
Susanna, who's one of my favorite Swedes, and her husband, they're like...
And they're here for the light of day.
Yeah, they came all the way from Sweden.
All the way from Sweden.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Now here you are, engaging them.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they've already sent a half a dozen texts or made a post on social media over in Sweden somewhere that they were talking with, Taylor Davis from the light of day. You gave those people something. And as artists and musicians, that's all we can really want to do.
Yeah.
Before we go home, take the trash out.
Yeah, I think that, I don't see myself that way, but if that is the case, it's all about this weekend. It's just about, especially people from Sweden and Italy are just some of the most passionate folks about music. I've always heard that, and then you come to Light of Day for as long as I have, and you see that, full-fledged. But I think that to me it wasn't about being liked. It was just about for a long time I felt just invisible and unable to connect, and didn't really know what I saw in the mirror, And I feel I played it. My first show was at my grandmother was at a yarn club at a coffee house in Alabama. I know this sounds like
a
Dr.
yarn
Seuss
club.
book. Yes, that's what you do in your 70s at her age, is you join the yarn club. And they're supposed to have musicians there that night, and a musician fell out, and my grandmother just said, "Oh, my grandson will do it." And I wasn't really ready to go to the stage yet, but I didn't want to let her down, so I was like, I can play 3 songs. That's all I had to play. After that, it was like the first time I maybe ever felt in the way that was good to me, connecting with people, and then I just chased that, and the further down the road that you get, Bruce has this thing that he says, some guys record a song, some guys learn to play the guitar, some guys get with other musicians, some guys rehearse with those musicians, some guys put out a record, some guys get on the radio. But the further you go down that line, you eventually find yourself, the people that you started with, sometimes you realize, oh, I'm by myself because I've gone further down it, and things have been good for me, That's all it was really, is just a desire to connect. And the way that music has helped me connect with people has been a way that I never would have connected with them otherwise. So that's really it wasn't so much as being liked, loved. I had already been disliked enough and unlovable enough to have that not bother me at that point in my life. And so it was more just about I want to connect with you for better or worse. That was just a hankering desire. But then there's the two different sides of everybody, I feel like, which is the one side tells you hey, you're going to be one of the best things that they've seen. And the other side is what are you even doing here? Right. And being on either side is really dangerous, and just staying in the middle as much as you can, because that takes the best things from the negative voice, which is it'll keep you humble. And then the other thing is it'll keep you persistent and give you enough belief to keep going, and so that was really it, and now you can't walk around here on a weekend without, Susanna that you saw outside. She's one of them, she sees you, she comes across the room no matter what the scenario is, and I'll go across the room. And Rhonda Brill is another one from Cherry Hill, and Annette, who's also from Sweden, last night came in while Bobby was playing Mark to the Flame, started pointing at me, we were pointing at each other, then we just started dancing. I hadn't seen her all weekend. We just started dancing and hugging, so yeah, it's connection I never would have had without the music, so that's what I'm grateful for.
Right. Well, as you see, we got company now at Lily and Lou's.
It's going. It's starting to roll again. People are awake, Danny. They're going.
Lily and Lou's Cafe is starting to rock and roll a little bit here, which is fantastic. Well, you had mentioned Other Side of the Bridge, I think it was.
Yeah, that was
a little bit ago.
That was the first single that we put out. Lucas Irasoki and I, and in Eloquent Records, and that was the first song that we recorded for the album. But that doesn't always necessarily mean that sequencing wise it's going to be the first song. But it felt like that song picked up at the end of the song off my last record, which was Cold in July, and that was a really, really important song to me. I credit that song with a couple of the others as moving me along, and I wouldn't have moved along without them. But it feels like it picks up right after that, and the idea of that you're sort of crossing a bridge, I hope, with me. If you followed that record and the one before it, you're crossing a bridge sort of with me into the new record. And so that's part of it. And then the other part of it is my mother always said, don't ever burn a bridge. You never know where life is going to lead you. And she's right. She's right about basically everything. But the duality of that is, especially with the personality type of a musician, is sometimes you have to burn a bridge to make sure that you never go back. So that's the duality and the other side of the coin to it. And so that's really where the song all came from. And sometimes the memories are the best things you're going to have out of something. And but we as human beings keep ourselves holding on and attached to things even long after they've ran past their expiration date. And sometimes we just need to take the memories and be strong and burn the bridge and move to the other side. And in the most non-aggressive way you can do that.
One of the sayings I learned early on in this business along those lines was, be careful the toes you step on today are not connected to the rear end you have to kiss tomorrow.
Yeah, amen. I wanted to mention, because you were talking about the New Jersey sound impact on me. The whole song started with a line came to my head that I wrote down, and when I think about it now, sitting here talking with you, it's a line that never would have came without being around here, because it's such a New Jersey set of phrasing. Is we laugh until our stomachs hurt with our favorite bands on our T-shirts, and winter nights of sleeping in your car. All of that could take place anywhere around here. So yeah, it's rubbed off on me plenty.
We laugh until our stomachs hurt with our favorite bands on our T-shirts, and winter nights of sleeping in your car. In the mornings at the dining bar, drinking whiskey out the mason jar. We were headed for the hills, it was sure to be killed. We were lost and on our way, trying to find our place in this messed up world that gives you what it takes. And we took what we could get, never say die and never quit. We gave it all that we got, but it seems that you forgot to hold on to the memories we made so long ago. So long to the friendships that we used to know. Hold on, 'cause you're on the other side of the bridge that I'm fixing to burn. We took the trips to no destination, hopping boxcars station to station, running through the wilds of Omaha. And we fought the law, backs against the wall. The things they've seen, we've seen them all. It's a long, long haul. You can run or you can crawl, but you gotta let me go when it's time to go. And take the things that we already know. And the memories are all we got, just a rope that ties a knot. You make it hard to not forget, but it seems that you forgot to hold on to the memories we made so long ago. So long to the friendships that we used to know. Hold on, 'cause you're on the other side of the bridge that I'm fixing to burn. Hold on to the memories we made so long ago. So long to the friendships that we used to know. Hold on, 'cause you're on the other side of the bridge that I'm fixing to burn. 'Cause you're on the other side of the bridge that I'm fixing to burn. 'Cause you're on the other side of the bridge that I'm fixing to burn.
All right, so that was Other Side of the Bridge by my guest, Taylor Davis. And we'll get back to Taylor in a second here. As like I said, we are at Lily and Lou's Cafe inside the Berkeley Carteret. Oh, there she is. Remember us from last year? There you go. You're welcome to come sit down with us again, my friend.
Putting her on the spot.
I put her on the radio last year.
You did. You did.
Well, thank you for letting us use your space once again. So now your music, I don't know if I'm right or wrong here, so please tell me.
Sure.
And if I'm wrong, please tell me. I've been there many times.
It's not mine anymore, Danny. Whatever you think is correct.
No, well, you're right, because once you put it out there, it belongs to everybody.
It's everybody else's now.
So, but you do seem to go back and forth. And what I mean by that is, this Other Side of the Bridge, we were talking about that last year when we were sitting in just about this same spot. I think we were there, actually.
Yeah.
And now here it is on your soon to be released record, which is called.
Don't Be Scared to Go Outside.
Right. So, by the way, social media, websites, all that?
Yes.
Before we go any further?
I think TikTok is over maybe today, but if you can still catch the last couple hours of it, if it lasts tomorrow, I am on TikTok. Taylor James Davis. Facebook, official Taylor James Davis. And then on Instagram, at Taylor James Davis, which is where a lot of the daily action comes from. Multiple albums on the streaming platforms. Golden Age Syndrome was the first official record on the platforms. The last record's called At Night in the Dark. Both of those records have 10 songs on them apiece. The new record's called Don't Be Scared to Go Outside. 10 songs on that, and 2 of those are out already. Other Side of the Bridge and If It Kills Me, and the new single's called Strangers Again, and it comes out next month. So 22, as of right now, 22 songs that you can listen to, and I have some feature stuff on the platforms as well. Great song I did with Jared Clemens, Evan Rotella, Jake Thistle, Bobby Mahoney, and Marcos Cabanas, called The Touring Song, a New Jersey/Swedish collaboration. So a great song I would highly recommend. My friends are terrific on it.
Excellent. Well, now along those lines, you kind of seem to draw from the past and bring it into the future. And you take the future and kind of make it feel like it's part of your past. Or the present, I should say, and make it feel like it's part of your past. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's. I don't think you are wrong. I think that it's all.
Can you say that louder so Claire can hear that?
Claire, he's really right on the mark. I think the time is like, kind of. I don't want to sound too out there, but it's like elusive in a way, because what you think the songs mean at a time, you find out, given hindsight, that maybe they mean something different. Like I wrote After the Fire on the last record. Bobby Mahoney's on that with me playing the guitar. I wrote that song. My wife and I watched a documentary during the pandemic about people that survived forest fires, and then they wouldn't leave. They would rebuild the communities. Wrote that song, put it out. Sort of seemed up until recently like this post-apocalyptic song of mine, and it's written sort of in that way. And then the thing in the Palisades happens,
Right.
and now it's not so movie futuristic. It's all of a sudden super relevant, and I've been playing that every night on the road because of, because of the people dealing with such a horrific time in California. So, the song was like this futuristic thing at the time, sort of. I was thinking about like Blade Runner and that sort of environment, and all these great like noir films that I love. And now it's like, if someone heard that now and never heard my music before, they'd be like, oh, did he write a song about the Palisades, about present day? So I think that it's really just like, the song timing is a lot when you release them, but it's also the timing of when, like you said, the music is everybody else's now. So it's about when you're supposed to get to it, you'll get to it, We live in a environment now musically to where it's like you have to, you feel an itch to push it to everybody, but really people will find it when they're supposed to find it. And I've had people that come up to me talking about a song that was on an album, the first album or something like that. I've never played it live, but they listened to it and expected to hear it live when they come out or something like that. So, and that song's in the past. Some of those are in the past for me to some extent, but they're very present for people now, so the future can meet the present in your songs, and then the past can come forward really quickly, And so, yeah, time, I know it's important, but at the same time, I've learned over the years to let go of, thinking about putting it out in a certain timing, because it's like I just believe people will find it when they're supposed to, whatever that specific song is.
I have a friend who is a 2-time Grammy Award winner, one for songwriting, one for production. A gentleman by the name of Mark Swirsky. And Mark and I had this discussion, and we discuss a lot of stuff, but we had this discussion, probably over this past summer. And you are in the same mind frame and set as him. He said, there are songs that I was part of 20 years ago that didn't mature until the last few months when somebody called and said, hey, can we use this for a movie? Or hey, can we put this in a TV show, a documentary? And his whole thing was no song. He said, songs they really are like children. They will mature when they're ready.
Yes.
And no amount of forcing them or trying to get them to do things or try to sell them to different places is going to make them accepted until they are ready.
Yeah.
And then I just talked to a gentleman by the name of Angus Clark, who is the Clark half of the Coons Clark Band. And they're also signed to Deco Entertainment, where this show airs as well. But Angus played guitar for Cher. He played, he toured with Guitaro. He toured with like a pop band. He's 24 years now with Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Oh, wow. I forget who was just talking to me about them recently. Somebody went to see them. I can't remember who it was.
TSO?
Yeah. Somebody just went to see
phenomenal.
them. Said it was a terrific show.
Oh, yeah. So, but he was saying the reason this Coons Clark, and Jimmy Coons was in Savoy Brown, and who else was he with? He's got a strong connection to Cactus with Carmine Appice and those bands. Anyway, so they've come together, the Coons Clark Band. And the album that they just put out, self-titled Coons Clark Band, is full of songs that they demoed 15 years ago. And for whatever reason, when the two of them got back together and listened, they're like, it's time. And that songs matured to the point where they're like, okay, we can put these out now.
Yeah.
15 years ago, they were just talked about, but now it's like, okay.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate. I feel like the songs have picked up over the years, if anything, and not the other way around. It's like I started on the one end of that where it's like the album would come out, you feel like nobody listened, nothing happened early on, And then it's like people got to my stuff later, which is like, I'm just glad they got to it at all, And so I'm really at an age, I'm in my 30s now, and I'm at a place to where it's like sort of that, not all of it, I'm not insane, but some of that anxiety that you had in your 20s about songwriting, the more you write them, the more I feel like you never get it, but also at the same time, you're familiar with some of the things around it,
Are you where you want to be?
No.
Okay.
No, otherwise, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, I'll probably, I don't know if you're ever really there. I don't know. That's now we're waxing big philosophical now, but I don't know. I think
what I mean by that is, you look at some bands,
yeah,
who they started one way, and then they kind of morphed into something different, and then they morphed into something else where they eliminated all the people who had supported them up to that point.
Sure, yeah.
And then you look at other bands who stay the course, or solo artists who stay the course. They may vary here and there. I remember when Led Zeppelin put out In Through the Outdoor, my senior year in high school, September, October of 1980, whatever it was. And they put it out, and people got to the Hot Dog song, which is like a tongue-in-cheek country thing, and everybody's like, what the heck are they doing? But then again, in 1970, when they put out Led Zeppelin 3, and it had a lot of acoustic stuff, people were like, they wanted to hear a whole lot of love and Dazed and Confused, and they get Gallows Pole, and they're like, what the heck is this? And the critics just panned it.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. Of course, the critics panned Hotel California, too.
Sure.
But, so as an artist, there's always that urge to develop and do something different.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite stories was I was fortunate enough to interview a couple years ago Melissa Etheridge.
Wow.
She was doing a solo acoustic thing at the Count Basie Theater over here in Red Bank, and she said that one of her greatest fears is that her music, everything's going to begin to sound the same.
Yeah.
And so what she did was, for this acoustic album, was she wrote the songs, and she took a song, sent it to a rap artist, sent the same song to a country artist, sent the same song to a heavy metal artist, and said, I want you guys to take this song and give me your version of it. So she gets all these, she gets a rap version of the song back, she gets the country version, she gets a heavy metal, like a thrash metal version of it back. And she says, okay, so because she was looking for ideas so that she wouldn't sound the same.
Yeah.
And then she records it, she goes, it sounds just like me anyway. So,
Yeah.
so there's no escaping a style, but there is escaping, repetitive motion without totally switching who you are or what your music is.
Yeah, true.
So, and the reason why I asked you that, are you happy with where you're at, or is because, you've got a style.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if I'm flipping through Instagram and I look away for a second, but I hear one of your reels come up, I know it's Taylor Davis. So there's that fine line that you walk between style
Yeah.
and everything sounding the same.
Yeah. I think you got to keep listening, and you got to get a lot of music in you. I think is a big thing, because you'll hear things and it'll send you down a path that maybe you're like, oh, I haven't written a song like this before. But also, it's a trap to listen to your own stuff all the time too. I'm really, by the time that everybody else hears the album, I'm moved on.
Yeah.
I'm moved on.
Yeah, because you spend how many hours writing it, recording it, playing it. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and so I get to a point to where, my producer has to remind me, like in my head, I'm in another album already. The notebook and the ideas and stuff. And he's like, no, we have finished this one. You're not on to another one yet. So Lucas did a great job of sort of reeling me in, because I'm well into a notebook of a record for my band. We're putting out an EP this year as well. I also did a taping the other night at the Bitter End that I'm going to put out at some point this year on all the platforms.
That was your first time playing there,
First time at the Bitter End.
I love that room. I love that room.
There's nothing like it. That was my best experience in New York City. I've been going there since 2018, and just the best experience. But I think that as soon as, the good thing about checking in and listening to yourself here and there is that you can, I don't have to go listen to the songs all the time, because I'm playing them live every night. I know what they sound like, But I do go and listen, once it's had some time to be out there, and, you have some distance from it. And I don't consciously think about, oh, next time I'm going to do something different. But you do feel a part of you like, okay, I did that. I did that. So then if you do go into it with that mindset, then of course what you're going to do naturally is going to be different. But yet at the same time, what Melissa Etheridge said is exactly right. Like, it's you, it's you. And you're lucky to sound like anybody at all. So if you can sound like you and people know you for you, then that's the best case scenario. Okay. So I also don't think about getting too much in the trappings of like, oh, well, that song's in the same key as the song on the last album. Is he sticking with the same? Like, I'm not thinking about that. That just happened to be where the song fell. So yeah, you want to be yourself always, but yeah, you also want to, once you've done something, you've done it. So once again, duality, having to look at both sides of the coin. And I think as long as you're aware of both of them, then you're not going to get stuck on either side of them.
How important to you, Taylor Davis, is authenticity?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything.
Go ahead.
When over the weekend of my solo shows, I played we'll use Wild Air Beer Works for an example. At my Taylor Davis and Friends show, I did 10 originals. I played Another Deadbeat Summer, and then I played Bruce's I'll See You in My Dreams. When I play Another Deadbeat Summer, that's Taylor doing a version of Bobby doing it. It'll never be like Bobby doing it, If I play Levy Oakham's, Bobby just said to me and Levy at Clinches, he said, maybe my favorite song of the whole weekend is Strip Mall America. And that is arguably one of the best songs written about Asbury Park ever, especially what is happening in the city currently. And it is, all you need to do is hear that song to hear that he's really, in my book, a genius songwriter. But it's him. You believe that it's him. You talked about it at the show. That is that guy. What's the line in Bobby's Empty Passenger Seats? We were driving straight home from Richmond through the middle of the night. They do that. They're on tour all the time. He's talking about stuff he really does. that's very important to me, because it's like, if I, there's plenty of other positions in the world, if you didn't want to be yourself, that you could do a lot easier than doing this. And the whole point is, if you're going to get up in front of people, especially most of the time people that have no idea who you are, it's important that you deliver the person that you really are, because especially around here, people are going to want to talk to you afterwards, and if you're not that's in the songs, I feel like that has to be really rough, so I'm just thankful that for whatever my songs are worth, that's really who I am, I got the best compliment from Andrew Ghost's dad the other night. He said, your songs are heartfelt, so they know that those songs come from my heart, and that's
Authentic.
it. That's the whole thing. Yeah. So, I think I spent enough time not being somebody else or pretending, but not knowing who I was, that now that I do, nothing has made me feel more in my life besides my wife, like who I really am, than my music. And so if I know if I feel that, then they're going to feel it too. And if I don't feel it, they're in for not a good night. So.
Yeah. Well, I believe we spoke about your wife last year.
Yeah. Never a bad time to talk about her.
Nope. And the importance of having a supportive partner or spouse.
Yeah, it's everything.
And like here you are, solo, no band. You throw your guitar in the car, your amp, and you go.
That's right. Yeah.
And you hit spots all the way up the east coast of the United States. You go past Asbury Park, and then you start working your way back down with the light of day shows, and then I see next week you're going to be in North Carolina and South Carolina, and you're going to be hitting spots all the way back till you get home to Miami.
Yeah.
So you're gone for what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I've been gone today. I left. The first show was on the 2nd, and then I left. I stayed at home that night and then left the next night, which was the 3rd, in Vero Beach. Shout out to the 21st Amendment Distillery in Vero Beach. And so I've been gone away from home. Today is the 18th. I've been gone 15 days, and I have another, today's what, Saturday? I have another 7, and then I'll be back home in 8 days. So yeah, I mean, without my wife, and I've been in relationships before that, of course, they wouldn't be understanding, And my wife is just, first of all, incredible, but she's an artist herself. A successful one. She has an unbelievable photography business it's at by Daniela Davis or by DanielaDavis.com. She's just an amazing photographer, weddings and engagements and new babies, and she got to spend a time with a couple during a water birth this year, and it was a very emotional thing for her, and she's just really involved in these people's lives, in a way that pictures on their wall forever of important moments to them. But when I met her, she was a painter and has done graphic design, so she really understands. She's a reader, she's well-read, and she just has the artistic soul, so she understands it. She's been to Light of Day, and she was at See Her Now, with me this year. And
were you up there for that?
I was,
I didn't know you were up here for that.
And
okay.
She's been to Asbury Park several times, and so she understands, and I had a friend say that when they got married, that their wife knew nobody was selling any guitars, and my wife, Daniela, she understood that, that this was, she listened to my music when we first met, and I wasn't even playing live like that, and she said, you should be doing this is the thing you're good at, and that was when we first met, and so she went with me to an open mic that I paid $5 to get in to perform, and that a lot of good has happened since then that I never would have imagined. Even if nothing else ever happens for me from here on out, I never would have imagined everything that has happened up to this point. So a lot of the journey has been about proving somebody that you love the most, that believed in you early on before there was any reason to continue to prove like you owe it to people that believe in you to prove that their faith was not misplaced. So and so when I'm out here, I'm doing that in a big way. It's like, hey, I'm not out here to have fun. It seems the older I get, the idea of having fun is sort of like a funny idea. It's like I do it to be good, have an impact, connect. If fun is a side effect of that happening, then, great. But if, somehow I ended up not in a good mood at the end of the night, but it was great on stage and everybody had a good time, then I'll be able to go to sleep because of that. But fun, I don't feel like I go out anywhere to have fun. You go out for it to be really good and for people to have a good time. And like I said earlier, to connect. That's why I got into it, and it's still why I'm up till 5:30 this morning. Because you're talking to people like Susanna and
Outside,
all these
yeah.
people. Yeah, and it's like you don't want to go back to the hotel. You want to give them everything because they've given you everything. It's an emotional thing, really.
And that's important. And I think the performers who are the one-hit wonders, or the ones that don't last very long, or the ones that don't understand that concept. And I've been doing this radio show for 16 years, almost 16 years.
God bless you.
And I'm questioning myself a lot more now than I ever did as to whether or not I should continue. Because it's like anything else. There's ups and downs. There's a roller coaster.
Sure, but I believe, my thought is on it, and of course I don't subscribe my thoughts to everybody else, but my personal belief of what I believe is that, and I know you decently well, it's not a choice. We think it's a choice, but at this level, it's not a choice. It's like, I said to somebody, this is not the best example to bring up on your podcast, but if you see someone walking down the street itching for something, when, to a certain extent, we're no different than them. If you didn't do this or music for 10 years or something, you wouldn't wake up any less of a musician. It's just like ingrained in you. That's how I feel. I feel like, how I put on, I look at it to the point of how I put my shirt on and the shirt that I buy. It's like I picked up a friend from an airport, a musician friend one time, and I just thrown some clothes on. I looked horrible. And he said, he basically made a comment to me that was the nicest way he could put it. He said, every day when I leave the house as the musician I know I am. And that always stuck with me, and I have carried it on ever since. And so, yeah, I just believe it's in you. It's in us, and it never, so far, it's never left me alone. And as time goes on, the hankering, it doesn't weaken, it just gets stronger, and it's like, it's not even my choice anymore. I'm fully at its disposal,
Well, that's, when you do, like I said, almost 16 years now of doing this, you question, you find yourself questioning your own relevancy at times. Does anybody still listen? Does anybody want to, do the musicians still appreciate it? And then you get to the point where, just like everything, you retire from your job, or you retire from your sports career, or maybe it's time to retire. I don't know. But as I know for now, I enjoy speaking to people like you and finding new artists and giving them an opportunity to air their shows. And
what you do is so valuable for the community in such a big way. And I told several people throughout the weekend, including today at Clinch's, like, I'm going to the Berkeley Hotel to sit with Danny Coleman from Rock on Radio. And there wasn't a single person that didn't know, what Rock on Radio was and who you were, So, yeah, it's important, too, because it's like, so many people over the years have said, I heard your interview on Danny Coleman, I heard you with Schindler, I heard you at the Berkeley Hotel. And I know people will say after what we're doing here, I heard you talk about such and such, and so I think it's vital, and I think that it keeps musicians going, it really keeps them going, because you get to know musicians sort of in a way through this platform that, you were talking earlier about the stage,
yeah.
And your listeners get that too, is that it's, they might have an impression of the person on stage, and this gives them a sort of peek behind the curtain of who people really are, which I think is invaluable.
Which is how this show was designed, why I designed it this way, so people get to know the person that they either want or don't want to support. And hopefully it's one.
Yeah.
but because people see them on stage, and I will point out again that couple you were speaking to from Sweden, they know you. But had they not approached you or talked to you, they wouldn't. You were just one of the performers from Light of Day, so to speak. So, well, let's get to some more music. You've got some new stuff on this list.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we'll play At Night in the Dark. That song has been that song stemmed from New Jersey because I didn't do much downstrumming really in anything that I have ever done really until that song, and that changed a lot for me. But that came from being around Bobby Mahoney 100%, because that's a Bobby Mahoney downstrumming sort of power thing.
Right.
And so I was doing that around the house with no lyrics, just 2 chords, and the wife said, "Are you going to do anything with that? Like,
right.
If not, stop playing it, because it's really good, but you need to do something with it." And that song feels like it came out, in a matter of no time, and it's taken my band, it's been like a calling card for my band. It's taken us places I never would have imagined. And for me on the road, I kicked off the after party here last night. That's the first song I played,
Beautiful.
And it's just a dream. It's just a dream that I had for me and my wife, and it's a dream that I have for every good friend that I have, is that, we can make it. We can make it. That's really, and hey, everything might go bad, but, as long as I'm with you at night in the dark, it seems like everything will be okay.
I wanna run to a place where no one can find us. I wanna sleep in a place where our love won't blind us. I wanna dream a dream that was meant for you and me. I wanna hope that we can stand barefooted in the clear sea. When there's a million reasons to stay, yes, some of them might be true, yes, some of them might mean nothing, but as long as I'm with you and not in the dark, I wanna drive 1,000 miles through the middle of the night with your voice in my ear saying that everything is alright now. I wanna feel your heart as it beats through your chest on the wheel as we descend into the southwest. There's a million reasons to stay. Yes, some of them might be true. Yes, some of them might mean nothing. But as long as I'm with you and not in the dark, there's a million reasons to stay. Yes, some of them might be true. Yes, some of them might mean nothing. But as long as I'm with you and not in the dark, and not in the dark, and not in the dark, and not in the dark.
At Night in the Dark, Taylor Davis here on Rock On Radio. Websites and all that again?
Taylor James Davis on Instagram, official Taylor James Davis on Facebook. If TikTok is still around when this comes out, I got stuff on there. Golden Age Syndrome, At Night in the Dark, the 2 new singles off my upcoming record, Don't Be Scared to Go Outside or Other Side of the Bridge, and If It Kills Me. And the next song you'll play later on is the next single coming out. It's called Strangers Again. I haven't released it anywhere. I save these sort of things for you, my friend.
I love that, man. That's why I love you. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I have to mention once again, we were at Lily and Lou's Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Inside the Berkeley Carteret Hotel in beautiful downtown, busy Asbury Park, New Jersey for the Light of Day festivities. Now, when Bob Benjamin started this years ago, and now it's an international thing.
Yeah.
Countries all over the world do Light of Day benefits for Parkinson's research. And
they were just on the winter tour, all of them. Yeah. William Zahner, James Maddox, Bobby Mahoney. It was his first Light of Day Europe tour with them, and they went all over the place. There was a guy that owns the Upstage Club in Germany that was here last night with his wife, and Bobby was just there twice this year, and they was just over there for Light of Day, and yeah, it's incredible. It's mind-blowing.
Now, I know you are partial to our friend, Mr. Mahoney.
Oh, we could have talked the whole 2 hours about him. I'm
surprised
cool
he
with
didn't come with you.
He's off to the Basie. They're getting ready for tonight, so he's helping Willie Nile out. He's been.
Is that where
he's been doing that for years.
It's not across the street here at the Paramount
it's been
tonight?
At the Basie
it's at the
for
Count
last,
Basie?
Yeah, a couple years.
Okay. And Willie Nile's part of that
Long
this
live
evening.
Willie Nile. Yeah, everybody's on that, and they got Brian Fallon's going to be there, and. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be an amazing bill. It always is. I saw Jake Thistle this morning, and yeah, it's always exciting. What a show!
And of course, the big question is whether or not Bruce will be showing up.
Yeah, well, it's 25 years. It seems like it would be, a
good idea.
Time. It's a good time, and as Asbury usually does, things are swirling in the air and chitter chatter. So that's what makes it exciting, though. It's more so like. Just the conversation about it is fun, It's like that's where people get excited, But of course, if he comes or he doesn't, it makes a big impact. But because his presence does so much to lift up at the end of the night, But just the conversation is exciting to people, which always I get a great kick out of. So,
right. Excellent. So. Tell me about these new tunes, the one of which we're going to debut in a little bit here on Rock On Radio.
The whole album is really, I'm in my 30s now. I've been married a couple years, and everybody knows what comes after that and that progression, so I'm really getting to that place. And so, yeah, they're just songs that, I said this to somebody the other day, they're just songs I would not have written at 25, 26 years old. I think of a few examples on it. There's a song called God's Ears that is one of my personal favorites, sort of one of those album tracks, less single, more of an album track. And it's something my mom had said to me forever, and I thought, oh, what a great title. You've never heard that title used anywhere else. That's mine, and that felt like a nice ownership. And my mom had always said to me, I would say something like, man, I really hope that, if I do this and I do that and I do this, that this will happen. My mom would say, well, from your mouth to God's ears. She said that since I was young, and so I wrote a song about, how you're growing up to, you're your own man now at this point, but you're, always to your mother, you're always her baby boy, no matter how, old you get, and sort of how you take the lessons that your mother gave you as a child and still find them applicable as an adult. That's really, so, there's another song on there called As Long As You're Here, which I wrote really to my wife, but the song is open. It doesn't write to a female or a male character because I saw it really as just like, I wanted to leave it open because, I didn't, before my wife and I were ever together, we did something I had never done with anybody else before. We developed just a strong friendship. And I was thinking to myself, like, she's better than any friend I have, in those days. And that led to everything else, and so I was writing just about like the journey you've taken with friends, Other Side of the Bridge is that sometimes you have to burn bridges, to move on from things, and As Long As You're Here was just like, sort of just a more grown-up premise of At Night in the Dark, like, hey, the world we live in is a crazy one, but as long as you're here, I'll be fine, Right. And that's the I felt like, and those songs were just like more adult, all of them, Kindness of the North is a more adult song that I wouldn't have had the mind perspective to write even 3 or 4 years ago. So they're all just more grown-up songs. And Strangers, again, that you referred to, was just about this thing of, usually by the time that you realize that you become distant with somebody that you were once close with, it's too late to do anything about mending that. But I've learned in life that occasionally you get that chance to correct it or fix it, if it's even fixable, but you get that chance every once in a while. And if you do, you should take it. You should put your effort in to try to, because at one point that relationship meant so much to you. And so that song was just about, the line that sort of summarized the whole thing is that you got to give us a chance to try to make it right, just to say that we tried, and so, yeah, I didn't even understand that concept at 25, so yeah, they're just more, I always think that the albums are about, you just have to show people that you're better than the last one, which is because people want to see growth if they're following anything that you're doing. So I think that more so than anything I've ever done, it shows production growth, songwriting growth, musical growth. I'm singing better than I've ever sang on anything that I've ever put out before. And the melodies are more extensive than anything I've done before. And my producer's just, one of the best living guitar players I know, but more so than that, he's just become a absolute animal in production and in the studio, and I noticed that more and more. He produced a song for me in the band that I think you played on here at one point called Love Me All Day, and I was like, I'm going with this guy where he's going, and Lucas made my album, and then Eloquent Records made my album sound terrific. So, and my wife is singing on Strangers again as well. So.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, she's singing on the background vocals with me. So.
Oh, fantastic. So, how many band gigs do you do a year, so to speak? I mean, because you're doing this solo tour every time you come up here.
Yeah, I mix them both. At some point, I will bring the band at the right time to Asbury Park, and that's not something I feel like an outsider. You called me an insider earlier. It's funny, I feel like both, and
right.
I am both, sort of, to an extent. But as an outsider, and funny enough, that's what the band is.
The band is called,
the Outsiders,
right? The Outsiders, yeah.
I don't think you just bring a band in your first time, and I wanted to sort of work on getting people around the songs, before I brought the band in, but at some point that will happen. Already in talks to do that to some extent.
Oh, nice.
And so, but the band... we've been a band, this March will be 4 years, and we've done 100 gigs in that 4 years. So about 25 a year.
Bad, yeah.
This year, we got finished with a couple-year residency, and sort of at the beginning of the summer, things were slowing down, and we're like, we need to get in the studio because it's long overdue. We've just been gigging. So we got in the studio, and we recorded an EP at the Frost Music School in Miami. And we're mixing and mastering that to put that out. We're going to put that out in the summer, and it's a 5-song EP, and nobody knows this yet, but it's called Take It Out on Me, and it's got songs that were on At Night in the Dark that the band plays live. After the Fire, At Night in the Dark is on there. Cold in July is on there. White Line Prison. Those are 4 songs from my last record, and then a new song I wrote with Professor Bo Cornelius. The song is called Take It Out on Me, and that's the title track.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Strangers again.
Mm-hmm.
This is a world premiere, you said, right?
I saved it. This is what I do. I save it for you. I save it for you.
Producer Claire and I, and
yes, yeah,
the folks at Deco Entertainment love that.
And I expect folks to discover the song on Rock On Radio and then go and follow them. But I'm putting, if they like it, I'm putting the song out in February. So, and I'll be announcing that as soon as I get back from the road.
That's only a few weeks away.
So stay tuned.
You are going to hear it first here on Rock On Radio. There we go. All right, here it is. Strangers Again by Taylor Davis.
1, 2, 3. Take me for a ride before the snow shuts down the road. Take me down to Casey County for the race. We could sit in the stands and drink beer until the sun goes by through the gates. We could ride through the streets we once knew so well and try to find the bridge through the divide. We could dance around the pieces of our broken parts until we're dead inside. We're becoming strangers again. We're becoming strangers within. We're becoming strangers when our pride looks us dead in the eyes. We're becoming strangers again. We're becoming strangers when we hide. When we hide ourselves from the light. Take me to the spot we used to run when we were kids. We faced the world one song at a time. When the words meant so much, the sounds that carried us through the rain or shine. Past the storms in our way, the houses of clay that washed away our pride. You gotta give us a chance to try and make it right. Just to say that we tried. We're becoming strangers again. We're becoming strangers within. We're becoming strangers when our pride looks us dead in the eyes. We're becoming strangers again. We're becoming strangers when we hide. When we hide ourselves from the light. We're becoming strangers again. We're becoming strangers within. We're becoming strangers when our pride looks us dead in the eye. We're becoming strangers again. We're becoming strangers when we hide. Hide ourselves from the light.
Well, as I said, we appreciate that. World premiere here on
I'm glad to give it to you.
it always
It's
excites
not mine
me.
anymore.
That's right, giving it
Officially
away.
now, we're here together
No, that's
for
it. We gave it away.
Yeah.
I always get that never gets old for me, because as we were talking earlier, you know, there was a kid's book when I was a child called The Little Engine That Could.
Yeah.
You know, and this train was trying to pull a full load up this huge mountain, and all he kept saying was, you know, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. So when I started this program, I was kind of that little train, you know, I think I can, I think I can,
Yeah,
I think
all
I
are.
could do this. And because I had experience in radio, but it wasn't at a major FM or AM station or anything like that. And oftentimes this program is kind of flies under the radar in a lot of ways. So whenever I get the chance to debut an artist, especially an artist such as yourself that I'm particularly fond of, it is thrilling for me to do so.
Equally as thrilling for me. Equally as thrilling for me.
And I am quite glad. So we've got about 15 minutes or so left, I guess, roughly. It's where I miss producer Claire because she'll be giving me
Timing you in.
all the signals.
Yeah.
But light of day, after you leave here, Asbury Park, as I said earlier, you've got gigs all the way back down till you get home to Miami.
Yeah.
Go ahead, put them out there. Since this show does go all over the globe.
Awesome, yeah. I think you told me it's coming out tomorrow, this interview.
Sunday, this is airing tonight, Sunday the 19th.
Awesome. I'm in Glen Olden, Pennsylvania this
no
Sunday.
kidding.
I'm playing at the Fainting Goat right after the Eagles either win or lose. So that will depend on how the gig goes, because these are some passionate individuals.
Good chance.
But Philadelphia and Pennsylvania has always been great audiences, so I expect nothing less. And they're also expecting a big snow, so I'll be there on a night they'll remember, which is nice. Tuesday, I'm in Richmond, Virginia at Bandito's Lounge. And that should be fun. It's an all-original music night, so I'll be playing all original music, which is awesome. And then I'm going to be in Youngsville, North Carolina. That's on a Wednesday, the 22nd. I'm playing at the Burnt Barrel, which is a really cool establishment for whiskey and distillery-based drinks, and live music is very important to them. North Carolina is some of my favorite audiences. Even on this tour, Charlotte and Wake Forest were like two of the most incredible nights. And then I'm playing, returning. It was one of my return spots from last year's tour. One of my favorite spots is in Rocky Mount, North Carolina on a Thursday, the 23rd, at the Goat Island Bottle Shop. And they sell all these variety of North Carolina beers in bottles. They'll bottle it for you, and you pick it up there. It's a small little space, intimate audience. And then Friday, I'm back in Hilton Head, South Carolina, playing at Lincoln and South Brewing Company. It's like arguably the best brewery there in Hilton Head, and super fun place. And then I'm closing the tour in Brunswick, Georgia at Silver Bluff Brewing Company on actually a week from tonight. So I believe that's the 24th or 25th?
5th, 6th, yeah.
Yeah, and then going home on the 26th from Brunswick, so not that far from there. And so, yeah, it's been a great tour. That'll be 22 nights. I also have to shout out Coconut Creek, Rule G Brewing Company, Vero Beach, 21st Amendment Distillery, Bold City Brewery in Jacksonville, Florida, the Wine Loft at the South End in Charlotte, and Norse Brewing Company in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and City State Brewing Company in Washington, D.C., Saxer's Pub in Springfield, Pennsylvania, the absolute legendary Bitter Inn in Greenwich Village in New York City. And then the things I've done throughout the weekend in Asbury have been incredible. Asbury Park Brewery, Wild Air, Beer Works, Wonder Bar with Bobby Mahoney, and then here at the Berkeley for the after party. So, yeah, it's been undoubtedly the best tour I've ever been on. The longest I've ever been gone, but definitely the most successful for a variety of different reasons.
Fantastic. Well, it's Glen Olden. When I was a very young kid, like 13, 14 years old, I used to play, growing up, I played both ice hockey and street hockey. And we were in a street hockey tournament in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. And the first team that we played were the Glen Olden Griffins.
The world is small.
And, oh yeah, and they kicked our rear ends. I will tell you this right now.
You'll never forget Glen Olden.
Gosh, never forget Glen Olden. And then in Rocky Mount, I had was coming home from Myrtle Beach on a golf trip. We made a detour to play around the golf in Rocky Mount.
Yeah.
I shot the best game of my life at a course in Rocky Mount.
And for totally different reasons, you'll never forget
and
Rocky
I'll never
Mount.
forget that either. So,
just great cities, too. Just really great cities. Rocky Mount's audience. North Carolina's audiences are awesome. And Pennsylvania audiences, I played in Philly for years. The Pennsylvania last tour, I was at JR Saloon in the Fish Market.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, Bob and Barbara's Lounge on South Street. It was like the first place Jared Clemens and I played. My first night ever in Philly. And since then, they've been awesome every time. They're passionate people in general, and they love live music. So the East Coast is great, you know. It's really great.
Yeah, they are very, how do we put it? I think passionate is a good way to put it, because, you know, a lot of times Philadelphia sports fans get a bad rap.
Yeah. And
the reason why they don't like you, if you're a Philadelphia sports figure or musician, the reason why they don't like you is because they don't think you're working hard enough.
Yeah.
So if you go out there and give them an honest night, they'll love you to death, even if you're terrible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But if you show that you're giving the effort that needs to be given, And I think that is pretty much the way it should be, because I've seen a lot of bands, some in this very park, here in Asbury Park. I've seen a lot of bands over my 20 years of coming to this area and performing as a musician and then the radio show, where I've seen a lot of bands, it's like, why are you wasting your time? Get off the stage. Let somebody who cares. And then I've seen other bands who are might only play one song, but it's the hardest 4 minutes they've worked in the last lifetime.
Yeah.
And to be able to get up there and work, like you were saying earlier, work your rear end off so that you can connect with the people, that's huge.
Yeah, and you see enough examples that you're like, there is no other way. There is no other way. And I mean, I'll bring him up 100 times more if you let me. You watch Mahoney's band, it's the best local example to me, is that he is always playing like there's stakes. Because in my book, that there is, if you just have to look hard enough. And that band is always playing like they're never going to get a chance to play again. And you're going to see them again. And they always play like, and when you go see Billy Walton, Billy Walton's band's a great example of he never phones it in. I've never seen it, Watched Willie last night, Joe Grishecki. Like, these guys are legendary guys. If they want to phone it in, people will still love them, and they just don't do it. So I think I just learned early enough that it was already in my DNA, because I was just, every city that was new was exciting, to play in. It was like, I can't believe I'm, wherever. I'm just grateful to be there, so it's like you owe New York City, and on this tour, my Bitter End night, for example, you owe as much to that night as you do the Tuesday in Charlotte, and if you're sort of playing for that big gig or something, you're in the wrong business, and you're doing it probably for the wrong reasons. I just think that, the big break really is getting to do it at all, and to get to do it routinely is an even bigger blessing. So, yeah, I had, gigs on this tour to where there was, 15 people there, and then I had gigs where there was, 100 people. So it's like, or last night on stage with Bobby, the place was packed out, the after party was packed out, so it's like, but it doesn't mean more to me because there's more people here. It's like, hell, if I'm playing to 5 people and you can connect with one of them, it's like, it's a good night. It's a good night. So that's really where the parameters in which I live with it, So.
And it's funny how perspective works. Because after the gig or the show that I went to last night, the band, as I said, with the Misty Blues, they came down from Massachusetts, northwestern Massachusetts. So they drove down to Tuckerton, New Jersey, 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever it was, to get down to Tuckerton, New Jersey. And the drummer was saying to me afterward, he said, I love gigs like this, because, as I said, it was at the Lizzie Rose Music Room. They claim their capacity is 70. Well, there was about 65 of us in there last night, and we were on top of each other because the chairs literally touch. And it's very hard to move. It's very hard. It's a very intimate room. I mean, very intimate room. And the drummer said to me, he goes, I would play 1,000 gigs like this for 50 or 60 people than I would rather play one gig in a 500,000-600,000 seat auditorium that's only got several hundred tickets sold.
Yeah.
He said, at least here, you feel like it's sold out, which it almost was. It was like literally like 5 tickets from a sellout. But they would perform the same way, whether it was for 15 people or 700,
Since I saw you last, the band played St. Patrick's Day Festival in Miami for 7,000. And then...
That's beautiful.
And then the next day, I did a coffee house show in Kendall, which is like South Miami, and there was 4 or 5 people there. So I called a friend and I said, I'm cool with this, like really cool with it. I said, but it is really strange, like the feeling that to go from one end of the extreme to the other in a matter of less than 24 hours. And wise friend, close friend and brother said to me, none of it's linear. None of it's linear. So to me, I felt, the equal satisfaction. I was more tired from the first one, but equal satisfaction because you connected. It all goes back to that. I connected to, a lady that was there, a guy that was there, an older guy that was thinking about something, and maybe I played a song that was in the realm of what he was thinking about, and it connected. Or someone comes up. People, especially supporters, should never underestimate what a little statement means. Because you can carry something like that with you for a long time when you have nothing else. So that always means the most. You were talking about me talking to Susanna and her husband when you walked in. I hope that the outward approach of me, what I actually care about when it comes to what people think of me is, I hope I seem, especially on these days, approachable, because I will sit and talk with anybody however long you want to talk. Right. Now I will get pulled, one place or another, or a sound check or something like that, and I have to let people go. But I really try to give people the time because it means as much for me as, I believe that it means for them. So that's. The music is a big part of the weekend, but that to me is like, that's what I'll go home with is, like a 2-minute conversation outside with somebody like her.
And that's the beautiful thing about it. And that's funny that you bring that up, because years back we gave him the title of music director for this show, and his name was Rich Shalanda. Now, Rich Shalanda is in the prog rock band Nectar. But for about 5 years, he toured with the prog rock band Renaissance with Annie Haslam and all that. And so Rich Renaissance was playing this thing called Yestival down in Camden, New Jersey, at the waterfront, which holds 23,000 people. It was called Yestival because Yes was the headliner, the band Yes. So Danny Carey of Tool, his band that he has, they're called Volto, they were there. Renaissance was there. Carl Palmer with the Emerson, Lake and Palmer Experience, they were there. And they had all these really cool prog rock bands. So Renaissance goes on, and there's my friend Richie. I'm like 10 rows from the stage. There's my friend Richie. And I just turn around and look, and it's just a sea of people as far as you can see, right? 2 nights later, after Yestival, Richie and I do a percussion for him. We do a gig at a place called the Cedar Pub. There were like 15, 16, maybe 20 people there. And I looked at him when it was done. I was like, Richie, how do you go from 23,000, that high, down to this? He said, they all matter.
They all matter.
They all matter.
One of the earliest things Mahoney said to me when we met is, I was talking to him one night about a show, about how great the show went. I was in the crowd watching him, and he says, we earn supporters one night at a time, one song at a time, one stage at a time. And that's something that's always stuck with me, and it's been some of the best advice because he's right about that, My guitar, I'd be remiss if I don't mention Cliff Dobson, my kick-ass drummer for the Outsiders, and Brandon Robbie, one of the best guitar players Florida has to offer. Brandon and I always look at each other, whether it's a 10-person gig or it's, those rare scenarios of more people than you can see. We'll always look at each other before the downbeat, right before I say hello or good evening, and we'll say, well, another night in the office. Yeah. Because it's amazing that it's our job, and you think about some people that go to jobs that unfortunately they hate, and it's like, whether I'm playing for 3 people or a shit ton of people
or 3,000.
Yeah, I am. I'm thrilled to even be there because I think they could have hired other people. They easily could have, in Miami or in New Jersey, a lot of people they could hire, mm-hmm. And somehow they called you, and never not be thankful and understand that you should be fortunate to be there. That's just how I look at it. You should feel like, I'm blessed to be here. And I always feel like that.
So before we get to the final song that we're going to play, and then I have to let you go, but what's the end game for Taylor Davis?
Well, I can see, an idea of down the road a little bit, It's sort of that we talk about the future, the past, the present thing. You can see down the road a little bit. I don't know. To me, you were talking earlier about fame and, I would just honestly, New Jersey taught me that, you just like to be, got into this to be, one of the guys, inspiration, and then you get to meet guys and sort of see behind the curtain and stuff, and my aspirations, and fame was always a scary sort of thing, and still remains something you should be concerned about, but luckily it's nothing I have to deal with, but you do think to yourself like, oh, if I could just do this forever, and my kids, my future kids, could live off my songs to some extent, or live off of what I do live. Like, how can you keep consistent? Consistency is the word I go back to. How can you keep consistent with it forever? I just would like to be a musician for the rest of my life and make money so that, my kids can have a good life, my wife can have a good life, and, I can be on the road, sitting on a stool if necessary at a certain age, That's really, to me, would be everybody's version of making it is different. I heard Brian Fallon talk about this, and he says, well, if anything, when they got the history book song back from Bruce, he's like, well, if anything, I'm a Jersey kid who wanted to be a musician, now Bruce Springsteen's on my song. I guess this is what they've asked me for years, So mine would just be to be able to do it forever. It's always been important to me to be able to talk about songwriting with people I admire, at all different levels of that scope. And in June, I got to talk to Jackson Browne for a few minutes about songwriting.